Right now, though, it's time for Coach's Corner, and we are pleased to have with us Cheatham County girls basketball coach Jim Gibbs. The Lady Cubs won their Region 6 AA championship last night, defeating Stewart County, and they await a Saturday sectional visit from Summertown. The winner advancing to girls state tournament action next week at the Glass House over in Murfreesboro. Coach Gibbs, thanks for taking some time with us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Improved to 28-4 with that victory over Stewart County last night. And what, 14 straight now? Is that right?
I don't even know, to be honest with you. I really don't. I know, as a coach, you always remember the ones you lost. I know the last loss was the Pearl Cone, but I don't even know how many what we've done in a row lately.
That last loss was a 59-53 loss to Pearl Cone back on January 21st. Since then, 3, 6, 9, 11, 12, 13. Looks like 13, I think. My bad. Sorry.
I will trust you on that
one. What is it that you guys are doing particularly well right now, Coach? Other than winning?
Well, we've been playing pretty good defense. And to be honest with you, we survived on Friday of last week. We had a really bad shooting performance. And got to give credit to Camden for that. We shot 26% in that game. But fortunately, we played pretty good defense of our own and ended up squeaking out a 30-27 victory. So, I mean, it wasn't a pretty game, but just kind of finding a way, to be honest with you. Is, not one thing really standing out, but, a lot of girls playing hard and playing their role and doing what we need to be successful.
And it looks like defense has kind of been your calling card over the course of the season. Not a consistently high scoring bunch, but you've been holding folks down. And anytime you can do that, you're going to give yourself a shot, obviously.
That's correct. That's one of the things I've always tried to instill in my players, that, you don't always have to score a whole lot, but as long as you keep the other team down. And, obviously, as you get further in the tournaments, you get better and better competition, and that challenge becomes intensified.
Coach, as you kind of see these games increase in magnitude, I'm always curious. Leadership undoubtedly has got to be high within your team. Is that something that you've had to stress as the season has gone on, or is that something that your squad has kind of picked up organically in your mind?
We've got two girls that really stand out as far as our leaders, Montana Lee, our senior guard, and our junior post player, Gracie Bell Weekly. They probably lead the way for us as far as, just organizing things, leading our group. But we have a pretty steady group that stays pretty even keel. And, that really helps. You don't get too high, you don't get too low. You can just try to stay steady.
You mentioned Montana Lee. I feel like leadership should come pretty natural for her because it feels like she's been around your program for ages. I do radio for Giles County, and I remember years ago she was a thorn in Giles County's side even back then. So with a player that's been around that long, I'd imagine she should have some pretty good leadership skills, right?
She does. She's a coach on the floor. She does a nice job of getting us where we need to be when things are going awry. And, so obviously, like you said, she's been on the floor for basically 4 years. She's been starting over 3 years. And, she's just got a great leadership. The girls respect her. And of course, her time on the floor deserves that respect.
Mo talked about your winning streak that you guys are on. Coach, I'm curious, what have you either been most proud of, or what have you maybe learned about your squad during this run, and kind of how can you use that to kind of try and get you over that next hump, a big one obviously on Saturday?
Oh yeah, I mean Summertown coming in, this is a traditional powerhouse in girls basketball. Team's been in the state tournament numerous times, but for our team, it's just been staying consistent. Again, sometimes one part may let you down, but you use that other part to kind of navigate through a difficult stretch, and you just find ways. I mean, we're a team that can go a period of time we may not score, and then we may score in bunches. So it's just riding out the negative part and then finding your way to a positive.
Jim Gibbs, girls basketball coach at Cheatham County Central High School, joining us here on Main Street Sports today on Coach's Corner. Coach, you lost in the region finals last year, and that put you on the road to Loretto, and we know how that one turned out. How much more of a comfort is it? Obviously, Summertown, as you mentioned, is a perennial state tournament contender, but the idea that you've got them coming to your place, how much easier does that allow you to breathe as opposed to having to make that trip on top of everything else?
Well, I mean, the fact that it's at home, at least we don't have to drive 2 hours plus to get there. It's difficult to get out of a vehicle and go, try to get into game mode pretty quickly when your body's a little bit stiff. So I'm hoping they'll start out a little bit slower, kind of like we did last year, and maybe we can turn the tables a little bit as far as our fortunes. But again, they're a very talented ball club. I've seen quite a bit of them over the last couple of days, and just just trying to find weaknesses, and they don't seem to have very many. So we're just going to have to try and find a few fortunate breaks, and maybe things will turn our way.
I think you might have just kind of answered a question for me there, because you played your region championship on Wednesday. You turn around and play your sectional on Saturday. You don't have a whole lot of prep time. So I was wondering, how much of a look ahead, I know coaches don't like to talk about looking ahead, but how much time prior to your game last night had you spent trying to look at, Loretto and Summertown?
The biggest thing I was trying to do was go ahead and have films gathered. That way, when we knew who our opponent was, we could basically delete the other ones and move to the one that was going to be of importance to us, and that's what we've been trying to do. I probably got 7 or 8 films of Summertown that we're trying to get through in basically a 48-hour period to navigate into Saturday.
What, through the film that you've been able to look at to this point, what's kind of the common thread that you see in them?
They got shooters all over the place. They play solid defense. Coach Gene does a great job of coaching his girls, and, they're going to be where they're supposed to be. And, they play hard. And there's a reason they're still playing at this time, because they are very much a quality basketball team, and we've got a big challenge on our hands playing them on Saturday.
As you look at them, and I don't want you to give away any government secrets or anything like that, but I mean, where do you feel like there might be an advantage for y'all?
I don't know that it's just going to take consistent effort for 4 quarters. That's something that we try to stress. They don't have a lot of weaknesses, so there's not a whole lot of things I can just say we're going to try and take advantage of. It's just trying to find a break here or there, and hopefully we shoot the ball a whole lot better than we did the last time we played in our gym.
Didn't shoot it very well the last time out, huh? Where was y'all's tournament?
Well, our district and region tournament were at Hickman County. They're in Centerville. Mm-hmm. But, of course, the first round of the region was at home. And like I said, we shot 26% in that game. So I'm hoping our fortunes change, either that or I'm going to have to see if I can rent the gym down at Hickman County real quick to go back down there for another game.
Now, that's a thought. I kind of like where your head's at there, Coach. Hey, if we're not going to get it done at our place, let's see if we can rent out another spot. I like that.
Hey, my thought is it doesn't matter where we play. I just want to try and find some way to get a W. And, that's what they want us to do. And, that's what we want to try and find, any kind of way. But, obviously we're going to play here. We want our crowd to be here. And I think our students got really involved in the game last night. And I'm looking forward to having a big crowd here on Saturday evening.
It's kind of ironic that you say that you shot it well at Hickman County, because typically when you go to the bigger gyms like that, Coach, that's not necessarily the case. And Hickman County is a cavern. Well,
our gym is pretty big as well, kind of the same kind of setup with the bleachers that go upstairs. We don't have a whole lot of seating downstairs, but it's got a lot upstairs, and so it's pretty similar to the setup that we have here at Cheatham.
Okay. Besides Montana, who are some other folks that we should be familiar with as you guys head into this big Saturday night ball game?
Well, Gracie Bell Weekly is a post player for us. She was our district's MVP during the regular season. Montana was the district tournament MVP and the district defensive player of the year. Sydney Mitchell has really stepped up her game for us in region play. She was the MVP of the region that just concluded last night. And so, she's doing a nice job for us. Our other two starters, Emmy Orange has the capability of putting up big nights with points. And our other starter, Georgia Hunter, is just a consistent cog for us to fill the roles that we need just defensively and rebounding.
So you had three different players win regular season, district MVP, district tournament MVP, and region tournament MVP.
That's correct.
That's balance. You got to like that.
If you can get it.
Yeah, absolutely. You as a coach, you have to kind of like the way different people kind of stepped up in big moments like that, obviously.
No doubt about it. We've been trying to encourage, people to want that opportunity and to seek it. And when your number is called, be ready to step up and put it in the basket, or to do your role defensively, because shutting somebody's their main offensive cog down is just as important as being able to put it in the basket.
Jim Gibbs of Cheatham County Central High School joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Reading is fundamental. Jim, it's 12 straight games. If I could count, I'd be dangerous, but it's 12 straight wins that y'all take into this matchup on Saturday against Summertown. Looking to make it lucky 13 and roll that into a trip to the Glass House. We appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon and wish y'all luck this weekend.
I thank you guys so much for having me, and I appreciate everything that you do for sports in our community and for supporting high school athletics in the state of Tennessee.
Well, yes, we certainly try. We appreciate it, and hope to see you next week.
I'd love to go back to my alma mater.
There we go. Sounds
and not as a visitor.
Yeah, well, I tell you, I don't know when you graduated, but I can tell you, if you've not been back, it has changed. So.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. Hey, we appreciate it, Jim. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you. We're pleased to be joined here on Coach's Corner now by, speaking of tournaments, NCAA tournament bound Lipscomb men's basketball coach Lenny Acuff. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Hey guys, how are y'all?
We're doing well. Not as well as you are.
Yeah,
but we're doing well. Congratulations.
Well, thank you, man. Like you guys are at a good spot. There's nothing like Tennessee high school.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fun time of year, fun to be involved in it, and it's especially fun when you're winning. And I'll tell you, Coach, I was just going to your website to get some particulars on y'all, and the first thing I saw was an award that one of your guys is up for, and a pretty prestigious award. Will Pruitt, the former Mount Juliet standout, has been named a finalist earlier today, looks like, for the 2024-25 Nolan Richardson Award for the players who are the heart and soul of their team. And I would imagine anytime that you are being mentioned with a legend such as Coach Richardson, this award is presented by collegeinsider.com. And to have one of your guys up for something like that acknowledges such a titan of the game as Coach Richardson, got to be a great honor for y'all.
Yeah, if there's ever been an award that Will Pruitt is right in. Will has he has been rock solid every single day. He's about all the right things. And that description you just gave is Will Pruitt. His picture should be sitting by that honor every year.
That's fantastic. And again, just anything that acknowledges Coach Richardson and to be mentioned alongside that's got to be a great honor just to be a finalist for that award. But, again, you guys won a great ball game on Sunday to punch your ticket to the NCAA tournament, knocking off North Alabama at your place. The second NCAA tournament appearance for this program since going NCAA Division I, the other coming back in 2018, and obviously got to be ecstatic over getting this team into this field of 68.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Maurice. We had Sunday was a great day for a school. I mean, we had an incredible environment, high-level basketball game. We had to beat a really good North Alabama team. Both teams played very, very hard. They brought a bunch of people up from Florence, and it was the way college basketball is supposed to be. And to say that I'm happy for our players would be the understatement of all time. That they are the best kids. I mean, this is as good a group of kids as I've had in my 35 years. And I've had some as good, but I don't think I've had any better. That's just in terms of character, substance, buy-in, willing to make sacrifices. They're the kind of team you want to see succeed.
Coach, as you kind of have navigated this season, it's been a little bit of up, a little bit of down, but man, it certainly seems like you guys have found a new stretch of momentum here. Was there a particular moment, or is there a particular thing you can point to with your team that's got you playing some of your better ball as you enter the big dance next week?
Well, we started with 4, but one of those was a 1-point loss to Belmont. We lost by 2 at Middle Tennessee. We're down 4 at Arkansas with 4 minutes to go. But since that time, we from that point on, we really started playing well. And then we midway through our conference season, we lost Dylan Faulkner after our 4th conference game. And Dylan's a 6'9", really, really good athlete, probably the most talented young kid in our league. I thought he's the best 5-man. And we lost him after 4 games. And it took us a little while to figure out how to play without him. And so I really feel like the last month we've kind of found our niche and our rotation and how it needs to look. And I think that's a direct reflection of how well we've played. It's just Charlie Williams has done a great job stepping in for him. He's a transfer from William & Mary. And then our 4 fifth-year seniors, Joe Anderson, Will Pruitt, Jossie Powell, and Jacob Ognakovich have all stepped up, and they're playing big minutes and carrying a big burden.
Coach, you made a point, and I don't know how many people really realize how hard it is when you've got somebody that you've counted on, that you've depended on, that you know is going to be a piece of the puzzle like a Dylan Faulkner, to lose them and have to try to figure things out on the fly without them. That's not a simple process.
No, and our 5-man offense almost every time down. And what he had done for us guys is we've been a top 10% in the country offense really for the last 2 or 3 years. We hadn't been very good on defense. And we worked really hard at it. Well, Dylan gave us incredible rim protection. He gave us one-shot defense. He could go get rebounds nobody else got. So we really, as much as anything, had to figure it out on the defensive end. What did our ball screen coverage need to look like? How do we need to schematically play our defense? And because he moved the needle on that end of the floor. He was a guy, if they got by one of our guys, he would just block it. And we lost that in one swoop. And so I'm really proud of our team. I'm proud of the kind of young men they are. And, I'm hopeful as we go into next week that we can go play well. I mean, I know we're going to have a tough task no matter who it is. I mean, we're going to be playing the top 20 team in the country. And anytime you do that, it's really difficult. But it's also a great opportunity. And it's an opportunity for us to go play well with no pressure. I mean, all the pressure was in the conference tournament. I mean, that is at this level, when you're in a one-bid league, the conference tournament is brutal. And I mean, it makes it tough. I mean, you're at the state tournament, and I guess in the state of Tennessee, they can still lose twice and get to Murfreesboro. Correct?
3 times.
Three times technically, Coach.
So you don't play, when you're playing the postseason game with a gun to your head, that's a tough deal now. And there's no mulligan in the bag. And so to get through that, I felt like even when we were really down and out against Queens, we were down 10 with 7 minutes to go. And for us, once we kind of got through that, I didn't know if we could win on Sunday, but I thought we would play better, and we did.
Yeah, it kind of works as a wake-up call, I would imagine. When you come that close to losing it, you certainly don't want to put yourself in that position again. But, Coach, we've talked on a weekly basis with Joe Sullivan of Main Street Media talking about local hoops, and we've discussed you all a lot. And Jacob Ognanovic's name has come up a lot in those discussions. But besides him, it's kind of been a rotating cast of characters for you. This past week, it was Joe Anderson, who you mentioned a little bit ago. But talk about how dangerous that makes you going into this situation, because you do have a lot of guys who have stepped up. You've got a lot of guys who don't mind the big moment.
Well, we're experienced. I think, sometimes there's some common denominators in teams that have a chance to win a game in the NCAA tournament. Most of the time it starts with experience, and particularly experience in the backcourt. So we start 3 fifth-year senior guards, Joe Anderson, Will Pruitt, and Giassi Powell. We also can shoot the basketball. And then we have a player that can move the needle in Jacob Ognanovich. I mean, he scored 18 at Kentucky. He had 30 at Middle Tennessee, or 32 at Middle Tennessee. I mean, he's been remarkably consistent. And so, it's one of those things going into it, guys, that we know we're going to have to play really well. We're going to have to make threes. And you have to hope the team you play doesn't have their best day. But if that can happen, who knows? You don't have to beat them 4 or 5 times. One time. And
one
so
time. One time. And Coach, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but I mean, you guys are being projected as a 13. Maybe you sneak up to a 12 or something like that. Maybe you wind up a 14. But those are seeds that have won games recently in the NCAA. So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Well, I hope you're right, Maurice. We would sure like to have a crack at it. Whether or not I know this, if you're in that spot, that's very difficult. I mean, that's a very, very, very difficult ask. And it's a very difficult ask at 13 or 14 or even 12. But, you look at those top 8 teams in the country. I mean, my goodness, a bunch of them are playing right down the street here this week. And that is those are awfully good teams with a lot of talent.
Coach, speaking of big asks, we heard a story on the show yesterday, and you mentioned Will Pruitt already. Can you break down what happened as Will popped the ultimate question on campus earlier this year?
That was a big ask.
Will is a man of nerves of steel.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, no doubt. He first off, Will Pruitt is an incredible young man, and the young lady he's engaged to now, Jalen Holcomb, is equally of substance and character. She's a sweetheart. And, that's Kelly Holcomb's daughter that played with the Titans and the Browns. And Kelly's a really good guy. But we won the league on Monday night. We clinched first place on Wednesday night. No, I'm sorry. Monday night, we played Austin Peay. We won. We had to play on Wednesday. Well, Will decides he's going to get engaged at center court in between all that. And so he brings her out, and he did a good job. Now he stole a lot of good. Jalen had no idea. The best part of it was when Jalen said, "Oh my goodness, please tell me, Dad." And he had about a month earlier had talked to them, and had asked permission. But that shows you what kind of young lady she is. She was wanting to make sure that her dad had approved.
And I think it's safe to say, Coach, if a guy like that has got those kind of nerves, you feel pretty confident in what he could do on a big stage in the NCAA tournament. And everything else should be kind of easy from there, right?
No doubt, guys. We know that old boy. He hossed up. Yeah, he's a keeper now. We're gonna miss Will Pruitt every single day next year. I mean, I've been here 6 years. He's been here 5. I mean, we had 1 year where I walked in the locker room, Will Pruitt wouldn't have been there. He's been my security blanket, and so. I've told a lot of people, I don't know what the Mount Rushmore of Lipscomb Division I basketball is, but he's got a spot on it.
Coach, we got word a couple of weeks ago, maybe 10 days ago, that this will be Jacob's final season. He's going to be leaving and jumping into the transfer portal whenever you guys are wrapped up. And it struck me as an interesting dynamic there for you all to have that conversation while the season was ongoing, and to make it public while the season was ongoing that he's going to be stepping away from you all whenever you're done. You know, what was the impetus behind handling it that way?
Well, it was pretty much agreed upon when he decided to come back. He would come back for 1 more year. That was, he graduated last spring, and he could have went in the portal last year with 2 years coming off an all-conference year the year before, and he would have been a high commodity. But he said, no, Coach, I want to come back. I want to finish with this group of seniors, and I want to have a chance to win a championship. And, he's already graduated, guys. He's working on his master's. He was a player of the year. We won the league. We're going to the NCAA tournament. And a lot of people think he's leaving for money. That's not why he's leaving. I think he wants to see if he can play at the highest level. He has big dreams. And I would be disappointed in myself if I tried to talk him out of that. I mean, obviously, if he wants to come back to Lipscomb, we'd love to have him. We'd do everything we could to keep him. But when a kid's done everything you've asked of him for 4 years, and he's got his degree, and he's been an incredible teammate, incredible in the locker room, never been one problem off the court, I pull for him, because, guys, now I will tell you this, some of the money you hear is a little exaggerated. It is. I know that for a fact. Mm-hmm. But the guys at the high level, they're making life-changing money. And, I mean, for a young man his age to be able to go and have X amount of dollars in his bank account, I mean, think about what a started life that is. Mm-hmm. And he's on it. And so go do it. And, we would love to have him back, but it's pretty much agreed upon situation, even like that he was coming back.
Great. Coach, we appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon. I know the last time we had you on, you wanted to talk some Braves. I don't know that I'm quite ready to talk Braves just yet because I don't know that I want to talk about them until Acuna and Strider get going. And so we may have to try to get you back on this summer and do that. But we'll certainly be watching the reveal show on Sunday and looking for y'all's name, and wish you the best of luck wherever y'all wind up next week.
Really nice of you asked. Hope you have a great week.
Now, Wade's got one more.
Thank you, Coach. And our good buddy Jason Latch, he and I are going to bring you a Good Luck Sun Drop. We know that's one of your favorites. So we'll send you off into the big dance right. All right, Coach?
Hey, Wade, here, I'm going to tell you this real quick, and I'm going to hop off. Is they asked me what I did to celebrate on Sunday night. And my wife and I, every Sunday night, we get pizza, and it's the one time a week I drink a Sun Drop. And so when we won on Sunday night, she said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to get pizza and I want a bottle of Sun Drop. And that's what we did. So, my man, there's nobody better than Jay Latch. Jay Latch just got the head coaching job at Bryan College.
Breaking news on the show. He's moving up in the world, and we knew your affinity for Sun Drop from his time on your staff at Lipscomb. So that's got to be almost – I feel like there's a sponsorship in the making for the men's basketball program at Lipscomb and Sun Drop now.
Somehow, some way that we –
We can make that work for you, Coach. And we appreciate your time as always.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a great night.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Opry Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan? Come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
We're pleased to have with us here on Coach's Corner, Columbia State men's basketball coach, bound for Hutchinson, Kansas, site of the NJCAA Division I National Tournament. Winston Neal joining us here with his Atlanta Hawks quarter zip on. Atlanta native Winston Neal joining us. Coach Neal, where exactly are y'all?
We are at Missouri State University. Coach Martin was kind enough to let us come practice here today. So we're about halfway to Hutchinson.
There you go. All right. I should have gotten out an atlas before we got you on. Where exactly is Hutchinson, Kansas?
You know what? It's near Wichita.
Okay.
It's near that's what it's near. It's near Wichita. That's all.
It's near Wichita. Okay, gotcha.
We've got about 7 more hours on this bus before we get there.
You sound excited.
Yeah.
Hey, I was going to ask you off top, Coach. The last time you were on this show, you had just got back from the Olympics in Paris. Were you more excited about being in Paris or perhaps a 15-plus hour bus ride to Kansas?
Listen, I'll take this bus ride any day of the week. If that answers your question.
I thought
there are a lot of
answer.
folks out there that would like to be in our shoes at this moment in time, so we are extremely blessed. And you know what? We're going to take it.
And with that said, congratulations, Coach. Again, TCCAA/Region 7 champions heading out to Hutchinson, Kansas. It's it's kind of like Omaha for college baseball. If you say Hutch in the JUCO basketball world, everybody knows what you're referring to. Everybody knows what it means, and it is really revered. So, second time that Columbia State has qualified for that tournament in your tenure. First time to actually get to go.
Going, though. Yeah, knock on wood. I've been waiting for another pandemic or outbreak to happen so we don't get to go again. We said multiple prayers that we would be able to get out here and play this time around.
Yeah. At what point, Coach, did you feel like this was a team that had a legitimate shot at making this trip?
Probably towards the end of November, because we had beaten some really good teams up until that point. December tested me a little bit, but when we after beating Pensacola, and then when we started getting on a run there and winning a bunch in a row, you started having a feeling that, hey, this is a team that's got a chance. This is a team that could go all the way, right? It was just, but you still, every game, you prepare like every game is a must win. And but you kind of felt that, hey, we had the pieces to make a run.
Also, Coach, you hear a lot of across really all levels of basketball, teams that are in that must-win mode. In some ways, you feel a little sense of relief now that you're finally there, and you can maybe perhaps play some of your better or, less stressed, I guess, basketball. I guess speak to the psyche of your team as they make this trip out there right now.
Well, I'll be honest, this has been a special team because they have been loose. Like the pressure, I don't think has ever gotten to them. They always seem to respond. They always seem to compete. And for me as a coach, I feel a lot more relief. I think they've just played loose the whole time this year. But for me personally, my stomach hasn't churned since we won the championship. It's been one of those things where, hey, listen, I'm excited to go. I'm excited to compete. I'm excited to see how we stack up against the best of the best.
Your stomach hasn't churned since you won the championship, but I feel like your stomach was probably churning on Monday when you were playing Roan, because I saw that you guys were leading that game 35-14 at halftime, and then I saw that you won it 74-71 in overtime, and I thought, oh my God.
Oh no, it was
how
an
did
interesting one.
This?
It was definitely an interesting one, right? And that's where I always go. I felt like we were playing well. Even in the second half, we were playing well. They just made some shots that were amazing. And teams get on that roll, and no timeout, no change of defense, nothing can keep them from making a shot. And Roan got into that mode, and we were very, very blessed to pull that one out. That's for sure.
And I guess every team that gets to Hutch has a moment like that, has a game like that you had to survive some kind of way to get through.
Yes. No, sometimes it's more than one, right? And for us, this time around was the first two rounds. We basically survived the first two rounds. The championship game, we came out with everything clicking, everything firing. We were fantastic in the championship game.
And I will tell you that for those of you who didn't get to see this team this year, when they were clicking, they were something to watch. And I think it's going to be fun to kind of see that on a national stage here over the next few days.
Exactly. And I hope we do that, because I want to put the best foot forward. I want us to put our best foot forward, show everybody that, Columbia State is a nationally ranked team. We are as good as people have said we are. We want to show everybody that we're that good.
Coach, I got to ask you too. I'm always fascinated, especially at the small college level. What's it been like in your days on campus, and then kind of what sort of crowd and support section? How many folks are maybe going to attempt to make the trip out and cheer you guys on?
Apparently we have a bunch of folks coming out for the game. They're braving that trip. And they're going to come out and support their Chargers. It's funny. We always get support around our campus, right? From administration all the way down. We feel loved and supported all the time, right? It was just special yesterday to send off. We probably had 70 to 80 people from the campus there to send us off. And that was a nice touch, them cheering and as we walked out to the bus. That was a great touch. I got to thank everybody for it. Everybody from the president all the way down to the baseball team was absolutely fantastic sending us off yesterday.
Winston Neal, Columbia State men's basketball coach, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports Today. The Chargers getting ready for their opening round national tournament appearance against Triton College out of Illinois. Now, Winston, you can tell me hopefully a little bit more about Triton College, because all I know about them is a guy I used to work with, Andy Humbles, pitched at Triton College, and Kirby Puckett, who starred for the Minnesota Twins, was NJCAA Player of the Year his 1 year at Triton College. That's the extent of my knowledge, and it's all baseball. Tell me about Triton's basketball team.
So Triton's basketball team the last 2 years has been fantastic. If I'm not mistaken, they made it to the championship game last year in Hutch. Either Final Four or championship game, if I'm not mistaken. They were fantastic last year. This year they were fantastic. They got ranked as high as number 2 during the season. They have a bunch of guards that really shoot it, a bunch of bigs that shoot it. They got an at-large bid. Three Rivers upset them in the championship game, and they were fortunate enough to get an at-large bid. So that tells you just how good they are. They're a top 10, top 5 team in the country.
And when you say they got an at-large bid, tell me why it is, because I'm not as familiar with junior college basketball across the country. Tell me why it is that Tennessee junior college basketball is not as highly regarded as some other areas, maybe.
It's a mystery to me, Maurice, because we have been really good. We've won a lot of games out of Hutch as a conference. We've done a lot of really good things. That's why I want us to go out there and put our best foot forward, because if we can go on a little run and win a couple games, that just elevates our conference even more nationally. Because I think it's fairly obvious to everybody in Tennessee just how good the Tennessee junior colleges are. We want everybody to know nationally that we are that good.
In fact, this is Columbia State's 4th national tournament berth in the last 12 years. Again, they did not go in 2020 due to the pandemic, but Penny Collins took teams out there in 2014 and 2015, and each of them won at least a game out there.
Yep.
So,
they won. Yeah. We've historically been winning. As a conference, we come out here and win a game or two most times. And, we want to keep that tradition up. We want to see if we can't win a couple more and put us on the map as a conference, as a school. Like I said, we want to show everybody that just how good we are.
Besides going out there as a team and showing everybody how good you are, obviously getting out there on that national stage helps some of your guys get to the next level, because there will be a number of 4-year programs represented out there looking for talent.
Oh, there'll be 300 coaches at our game, easily, all levels. Pretty much everybody in the country is going to be out there, either out there or watching the tournament.
So do you have transcripts and that kind of thing that you can hand out as while you're out there? Or how does that work? Because I know
they will reach out to me and I'll send it to them. Very, very simple, right? Is the coaches will, and quite frankly, Maurice, a lot of these Division I coaches have no idea what they need right now. In a matter of, I think it's 4 days, that portal opens, and they'll start figuring out what they really need.
Which is kind of where we are with transfer portal and everything else right now, I guess. Yep. Is that right?
Oh yeah, no, it's gonna be fast and furious in 4 days.
That said, on your end, how does this help recruiting?
Oh, I mean, obviously it puts us on a national stage. We're involved with a lot more kids than we normally have been involved with. There are a lot of kids, reaching out to me, and that's always a good thing when people, know who you are without having to tell them who you are. That always helps.
It's a massive accomplishment for you guys, Coach. In this layoff, did you have a chance? I just asked this with our guest talking about the Lady Vols. They had a lengthy layoff before they get ready to get cranked up in their tournament. Speak to us about injury concerns. As I see you're on the move there about Missouri State, but team healthy, team rested, team focused.
Well, we had one young man twist his ankle early in the week, and we had an X-ray, and we just got a call a little while ago, and I'm going to walk to the bus because everybody's waiting on me now.
And they can't leave without you, Coach. That's good.
It's going to be a 7-hour ride, fellas. We need to get moving, right? So, I'll be honest. After we won the championship, I drove straight to B&A on a flight at 5 a.m. to California and went to Disneyland with my kids for 3 days for their spring break. I gave everybody off because after the tournament, we were so beat up, we needed some time off.
And when he says we were beat up, he means we, because as soon as they get back from Hutch, Coach Neal has got to get a meniscus addressed.
No, that's exactly right. Surgery is April 4th. We've already got that scheduled. We got to take care of that.
Well,
So I can walk again.
painlessly. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm sure
Listen,
Disneyland.
Stairs are my nemesis right now.
Oh,
Going
yeah.
on downstairs is painful.
I'm sure Disneyland on that was fun as well, but the things we do for our kids, right?
Oh yeah, listen, they're young enough to where you can't get these years back. You need to take the opportunity to spend it with them. You're making life memories for them. They'll always remember that.
And I'm sure you guys will always remember this trip to Hutch, and hopefully it'll be a happy bus ride back. Coach, congratulations. Thank you for taking some time with us, and good luck over these next few days.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for having me on.
Absolutely.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Coach.
And everybody's in the back. Hey, everybody say hi.
Good luck, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, fellas.
All right. Right now it's time for Coach's Corner here on Main Street Sports Today, and we're pleased to bring in longtime Middle Tennessee high school baseball coach Chris Parker, now in his first season up at Houston County. Coach Parker, thanks for taking some time with us, man.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for having me.
No question, man. Hey, congratulations are in order.
Thank you.
Reached a milestone last week with your 400th career victory.
Yes, sir.
Just that, I mean, those don't grow on trees, man. Just talk about what goes into one sticking around long enough to get to 400.
Well, I probably should have reached it a long time ago, to be honest with you, Mo, but I've never been shy for scheduling tough opponents. I think that's something as a high school baseball coach, and you get your team prepared to play in May by playing very strong opponents outside of your district play and region play and stuff. But it's just, I guess I have a really big love for the game and just love being around kids and teaching the game, and just kind of keeps going and just plan to keep doing it and stuff. So we have an agriculture teacher, Coach K, there at Houston County, and he told me on Facebook, congratulations, now get 500. So,
No pressure, huh?
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So,
Just keep it rolling, man.
yes, so that's what we try to put one at a time. So that's what we're doing. Like we play Santa Fe Wildcats tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So we'll try
Up
to
there
go
at your
for it.
place, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So that'll be if we can get that one, that would be 401. I
Okay.
guess you could say. Yes, sir.
There you go. One at a time. You talked about your love for baseball and your love for coaching, Chris, and it's kind of shown over the course of your career.
Yes.
Again, first year at Houston County,
Yes,
but
sir.
also spent time at Pope Prep, been at Forest, been at East Hickman, been at Cascade, Blackman. Your coaching career has kind of run the gamut from, one of the largest schools in the area to
Yes, sir.
to Houston County and Cascade. I mean, and I would guess just the consistent thread throughout all of that is, again, the opportunity to coach baseball.
Yes, sir. Just as coaches, life changes and opportunities present themselves, and that's what I've kind of done. My life has changed, personally off the field, and I've went some different places. Then I've had some opportunities to go places, I leave Cascade and go to Blackman and run that program for a while. Then I was at East Hickman, took a job at East Hickman to be close to my home in Dixon, and I had a newborn son. But the opportunity came calling to go to Pope John Paul, and then you run its course, and your son gets a little bit older, and you're commuting so much, and you want to spend more time with your family and stuff. So kind of gone back to the country, probably where I belong, and back in coaching in Houston County. So,
Coach, I gotta ask you. You're in Houston County. You got the Irish sweatshirt on.
Yes, sir.
Did you participate in the 63rd annual St. Patrick's Day celebration? And can you put? I've never been to that thing. Can you put into words how big of a deal that thing is up there in Houston County?
Well, it's a pretty big deal. You can hear the kids start whispering about it in class and stuff. And we get out 2 weeks for spring break every year, and that event happens one of those weeks every year, and it's a really big deal for the community. Really cool thing. One of the first nights is kind of unfortunate. They had an accident, not an accident, but at one of the carnival, some kids got stuck on one of those wheels that takes you way up high in the air. So actually, my team manager, Will Black, got stuck up in the air for like an hour to somebody get him down to one of the carousels of that thing. But it's a big thing for the community, and everybody gets behind it and enjoys it. And it's something. This will be my course next year. Will be my second year, and I'm gonna tag along with it. And I'm going to have a St. Patrick's Day high school baseball tournament at our campus, and maybe some other local campuses the week of that festival and stuff to kind of tag along with it and bring in some of the very best small school baseball programs that I can, where we can all meet each other and play each other and have a good time.
That was my question is, how do you parlay or maybe tap into that? And it seems like you've already got the wheels kind of in motion there.
Yes, sir.
I'm not going up in that ride. I don't know if you're going up there after what I just heard, Coach.
No, sir. I kind of stayed away from Carnival.
Yeah.
I made sure Gant, my son, and the kids didn't talk about going to the Carnival around him, because I knew he'd be one to want to get on something like that. You know?
Yeah, no, I'm out on that. But I'm glad to hear Will made it back safe to ground, and hopefully he can and do a great job for you guys. And that's cool. I love that whole festival atmosphere up there, and I love the fact that you're kind of gearing up for next year to kind of really what could be a real fun celebration up there.
Yes, sir. Like Mr. Moe has said, I've been doing this a long, long time. I got a lot of friends in the game, and I'm got a lot of friends at all levels, but I'm going to try to get some of my good buddies to coach these small schools. We get together and play, have a little Ron Robin, and tell everybody, what's going on down the road and stuff. So it's Houston County is a really neat community. First time I had experience with it. I was coaching 6-year-old Dixie Youth All-Stars, helping coach the Dixie Youth team, and my son Gant was playing. And the guy that pitches, I don't know if y'all know this, but it's hard to pitch to little guys and coach pitch, especially if you've been throwing to, some of the state's best and your own high school team bat practice over all the years. And the guy that pitches, Coach Jackson, our girls basketball coach, actually, I was helping him coach the team. And his newborn son was being born. And so I had to pitch. And I got ready to take that first pitch to our leadoff hitter in Dixon. I looked back there, and there was a sea of green. And I was like, it was a little bit intimidating, to be honest with you. I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, you had like the parents, the grandparents, or aunts and uncles just to really, if we'd been a fight in the crowd, we'd have got beat. We were really outnumbered. So it was and that kind of make, the light bulb go off and say, these people really love athletics and stuff. You go to a football game and everybody comes, and our basketball programs, Coach Jackson, Coach Litter do a great job, and everybody comes. Softball team, Coach Heather. It's just really, really neat, nice community, and a lot of love and joy and support for each another out there.
Chris Parker, baseball coach at Houston County High School, joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Chris, I want to get back to that coach pitch thing for just a second, because again, that's I can see where that would be intimidating, particularly given, your background and everything. And the last thing you want to do is not do that well.
That's right. It's you got to get down there real low, and you kind of try to keep that ball on the hidden plane and throw that ball in there. And I did the very best I could. And but I had a few strikeouts that game. I will be honest with you, Mo. And fortunately, one of them was not number 29 with Parker on the back of his jersey. So
there you go.
Yeah.
That velo can be a little of an issue there, I guess. Chris,
Yes,
you
sir.
mentioned you went from Cascade to Blackman.
Yes,
You
sir.
were at Pope John Paul II. You're at Houston County.
Mhm.
What is the adjustment from, some of those larger programs where you maybe have a little bit more turnout, a few more kids to work with, as opposed to some of the smaller situations that
Yes,
you
sir.
have been in and that you are in?
I really love my time at Blackman. But Mo, you kind of hit the nail on the head. It got to, you got to trust and have really good junior varsity coaches and assistant coaches in your program. But it got to the point, after being there 4 or 5 years, that when you get ready to have varsity practice, you're throwing balls and hitting balls and working with some kids that you really ain't got to mold and shape like you maybe wanted to as a head coach. And that just, to me, it just wasn't for me. I enjoy the small school, and even at Pope John Paul, we were Division II AA, but we were a smaller school. Only had 500 or so students. Every kid in our program, I was able to, mold and shape the best I could, the way I could, and teach the game, not only just manage them. And sometimes with some of the bigger programs, that's what you have to do is manage players, and it's hard to coach and teach all the players as well as manage them and stuff. So it's you gotta at some of the really smaller schools, you gotta try to, like any baseball program, but you really gotta find some kids that find a niche that can help your program. I got one senior, Alex Riley, and I got another junior, Zion Brown, and they're not the best outfitters, not the best hitters, but I'll tell you what, they are very, very fast, and every opportunity, JV baseball game and a varsity baseball game I give them, they're my courtesy runners. And it's gotten now where every time they touch the bag, they're in scoring position if they don't score. So it's just, doing things like that, finding niches for kids to help them and make them have a role in the team.
I think we might have just lost Coach Parker momentarily there, but
he was on a heater too.
Yeah, there.
Welcome back.
Are we back?
I hope that helped answer your question. It's just sometimes at the bigger programs, you got to manage players more than you get to teach and coach some players maybe at the small schools, and so developing the relationships over the years is a little bit tougher sometimes with big numbers.
And to your point a couple of seconds ago regarding the community support and the community involvement and that kind of thing,
yes, sir.
Just having that touch on those kids all the way around and all the way through, I would imagine, is a pretty big deal as well.
Yes, sir. To be honest with you, Mo, I've got to coach in some really big region and sub-state baseball games. Been very blessed to have some great players. Been to state tournament, 4 or 5 times. And the crowds, but believe it or not, we had a crowd in Bell Buckle there one time, sub-state game. It was unbelievable. And when I was at Forest, we played Cornersville in a sub-state game, and it was like there's people on the fence in the outfield. And sometimes, even though you're in a bigger school, you don't have that many people attending those big events like at Blackman. We played in the region and sub-state, or at Pope John Paul, we played Christian Brothers in the sub-state and McCauley and things like that. You don't have as many people there, but it seems like those smaller communities, they really rally and get behind those teams, and everybody comes out to the ballpark, and you get a lot of student involvement as well. And it's really some really special events, so.
Coach, what's one thing that's got you excited? Hard to believe, but we're already kind of, midway or a little over midway for some teams for the regular season. What's one thing maybe you're excited about your team thus far? And what's one thing that you maybe still would like to see squeeze out of your team, get improvement a little bit?
Yes, sir. Well, I took over baseball program. The team won 1 game last year. And just to see them learn and grow, and just to get excited about not just winning, but competing and staying in games and just the potential that we have is and we're real young. We started Monday night, we played Hickman County up at Houston County, and we started 5 freshmen, and we went down to Centerville and played Tuesday night, and we started 4 freshmen. We're really young, but just to see, every kid from senior all the way down absorb and learn and get better and better, that excites me. And it just kind of I'm old. I'm not as young as I used to be. Mo can tell you, I got a hair full of gray hair coaching these young men all this time, but just gives you the energy and gives you the spunk to go out there and get them and just keep teaching them and teaching them more. And I tell you what, we have it's kind of a little thing. These kids in Aaron, they ask questions all the time, and I just absolutely love it. And I've got where I'll say, that's a good question. Every time they ask me a question about baseball during a game, practice, whatever, and some of them answer back, good answer. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of become a thing on the team, and it's really, really cool. So it kind of makes them want to ask questions and know they can ask questions. But if you're talking about improvement, we I'm just an old high school baseball coach, man. We got to throw more strikes. We got to make the routine plays and put the ball in play. If this bunch that I got here can do that, I think they can do a lot of special things in Houston County baseball history here, this year and beyond. If they'll, if we can throw a few more strikes, and make all those routine plays and just put the ball in play. I'm not asking for anything spectacular or home runs at the plate or nothing like that. I think we can do a lot of good things.
Chris Parker, first-year baseball coach at Houston County, joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA of Columbia. Chris, you say you got Santa Fe coming up there tomorrow, is that right?
Yes, sir, Santa Fe. Then we roll into district play next week. We got the big McKenzie Rebels. We'll be playing them. Yes, sir. Got some tough ones coming ahead. Yes, sir.
Good luck with that one. We really
sir.
appreciate you taking some time with us and look forward to catching up with you. Go out and get that 401 and that 500. There's a lot more out there, obviously, and folks counting on you.
Well, I appreciate it. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mo, and I appreciate y'all having me on. Y'all have
Yes,
a
sir.
great,
Thank
great
you, Coach.
day. Yes, sir.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Maria, one other thing I wanted to ask you about before we let you go, and we appreciate you taking some time with us, but Kelly Harper getting back into the coaching ranks, getting back into the Southeastern Conference, specifically getting the gig over at Missouri, where she's obviously got some familiarity from her time at Missouri State. Feels like a good hire for Missouri, feels like a good spot for Kelly.
I agree completely. She was really good on television. I had even texted her during the season that you really do this television gig really well, but her passion is coaching. And I think it's a perfect landing spot. Like you said, she's got familiarity with that region. She obviously knows the SEC. I think it's, and it just makes the SEC that much harder. I mean, it is a tough league already, and you've got all these really outstanding coaches in it. But so I'm happy for one quick thing I'll add what Kim said today, because I listened to it when they did their presser. We talked about the 43 NCAA tournament streak, which is, unheard of. Tennessee's the only school to have never missed the NCAA tourney since it started in 1982. And I asked her about, the pressure of keeping that going. And she laughed and said, yeah, it's nice not to be known as the coach who blew it. So as usual, she's always blunt and to the point. So, but it is an incredible streak. Just think about it. No other school has done it. What an It's a mind-boggling streak for one program to never miss this tournament.
It is a mind-boggling streak, and I mean, it's kind of refreshing to hear a coach say that, because that's kind of the reality of it. I mean, you don't want to be known as the first coach to miss an NCAA tournament at the University of Tennessee.
And I thought Jill Spear, she put it nicely. She goes, the way we look at it now is like a track race, like a relay. We're passing the baton. Other players passed it to us, and we're passing it to the players that come behind us. So, no coach and no team will be the one that brings that thing to a halt. So,
Absolutely. And we are pleased to have with us here on this Monday from the Bluff City, Sports 56 WHBQ out of Memphis, Greg Gaston joining us here to talk a little Grizzlies. Greg, first of all, thanks for coming in with us here on this afternoon.
My pleasure, gentlemen. You said gloomy in Nashville. It was gloomy here on Friday when Taylor Jenkins was let go very unexpectedly.
It was especially gloomy for Taylor. And Greg, it really kind of caught us 3 hours away by a little bit of surprise. Wade is a little bit more plugged into the Grizzlies than I am. And the thought was, wouldn't necessarily have been shocked by this at the end of the season, given some of what has transpired this year. But the timing, as much as anything, seemed a little odd. Why would you do this with 9 games remaining in the regular season?
Well, it's interesting with basketball. It seems like they can keep things undercover pretty well, pretty hush-hush. But I think it was pretty obvious to everybody that if this team lost in the first round of the playoffs, that there was a good chance a change would have been made. But I am with you, Marisa, 100%. The timing is very strange. Now, there's a lot of different moving parts that come into play here. One, the team has been playing awful basketball of late. And they went out on the West Coast, and they went to 5 different cities and lost 4 of those games, not just the West Coast, but to Utah and to Salt Lake City, and then to Oklahoma City. And the only game they beat, the only team they beat was Utah, the worst team record-wise in the West. And so it had already started to trend that way. Now, granted, they didn't have John Morant for that whole road trip. And John Morant's the key to this team. Mm-hmm. But things started to swirl a little bit, maybe 3 weeks before that. They started to really struggle, especially on the defensive end. And all of a sudden, this team that was sitting pretty in second place in the Western Conference started to drop in the standings. And so then you started to hear some things. Again, they're pretty good in keeping it close-lipped. But you started to hear some things that there may be a difference of opinion between management and what the head coach Taylor Jenkins was doing. They went in the offseason and management made moves. They had Taylor fire a bunch of his assistant coaches. They brought in new coaches with a new system. They brought in a gentleman now who's the interim head coach. His name is Tuomas Isolo, and he comes from Finland via Paris, where he was a Euro Cup champion coach last year, and he runs a different offensive system. And he was brought in by the general manager, Zach Kleiman, to change the way they run the offense. And so everything I've heard has been that maybe Taylor was a little reluctant to go to that offense right away. He's been slow in adding pieces to it. And after that good start to the season, when things started to go awry, then we started to hear about this, that maybe there's a little disconnect between management and the coach, possibly even the players and the coach. And this system that is supposed to be implemented is more of a pick and roll system, which makes a lot of sense when you have a 7-footer like Zach Edey, the 10th overall pick, and you select him, that you would run that pick and roll with John Morant. It makes perfect sense. But they really didn't instrument that most of the season until a little bit more recently. And so you add all that up, and even though there are 8 games to go in the regular season, you still have the postseason to go. Zach Kleiman felt this was the time to kickstart this team, possibly to change things around, change around the whole feeling of the issues that have really added up with this team, and maybe kickstart them to where they can go into the playoffs and who knows, maybe perform up to their capability. But I still think it's very strange. After the season, you see what happened in the postseason, and then you make your decision there. But he decided that this was the right time.
You mentioned some of the assistants that Jenkins was forced to let go. One of those is Franklin native, former Battleground Academy basketball player who went on and played down at Lambeth and Jackson, Brad Jones, who had carved out quite a career on some NBA and G League benches. Tough to see him get gone. But, again, the middle of the season, the end of the season, the timing looks really strange. The first question I would think that has to come to mind is, where is Ja with all this?
Yeah, so we haven't heard from Ja other than the fact that he talked glowingly about Taylor Jenkins. It's been his only professional head coach. So he was drafted by the Grizzlies. Taylor was the head coach, and that's the only coach he's known. So he said all the right things. But again, just hearsay, the rumblings that they didn't really like what was happening with this system. Again, this wasn't the complete implementation of the system that was supposed to come with Isolo. And so we didn't see the pick and roll that much. And Ja thrives on the pick and roll. He wants the ball more. This system that they were using was more spread out. So he didn't have the ball as much as he wanted. Now, granted, he hasn't been on the court that much because he's been hurt. That's another issue and another story. But for Ja, I think things started to sour a little bit, but not just for Ja and for other players as well. That, look, it was almost a defeatist attitude with the way they've played recently. And the defense has certainly struggled. And that may be because of the problems on offense. A lot of times in basketball, you don't click on offense, it affects the defense as well. So, again, I don't know. It didn't come from the horse's mouth, but just the rumblings are that the players certainly started to sour to what was going on. And remember, Taylor, in his 6th year, is the all-time winningest coach in Grizzlies history. So he had been in that spot for quite a while.
Yeah, and Greg, I'm curious, I'm kind of scratching my head when I hear the news on Friday, of course, and I'm wondering, is this all the reasons you just mentioned, but is also, is this a chance to maybe give this team a jolt, as weird and as late as it is? And with that being said, I'm curious, what are maybe expectations internally that you've gathered as you enter the postseason on such kind of a sour note and with a murderer's row to come into the postseason alone? What are kind of expectations in that building once the playoffs begin in your mind?
Yeah, the expectations right now can't be real high, to be honest with you. They gave everybody a shot at truth serum. It's in disarray, but it's not in disrepair. They can figure this out. This is a team that was in second in the West for a good portion of the season. I think you're onto something with, it's a combination of things, but I also believe because of this odd timing, my guess is that Zach Kleiman wanted to give this team a shot and just give them a boost. And maybe they can salvage the season that is falling apart in front of our very eyes. So maybe doing this, which is unorthodox, may be the way to go. That's the only thing I can rationalize, because even if you're upset with a coach, maybe the coach and you are not seeing eye to eye, you let the season play out. This is not, I think, a point in the season, 8 games from the playoffs, as your team's revving up to make that change, unless it is for that reason that he figures with this move, maybe it invigorates everybody on this team and they get back to playing basketball the way they're capable of playing.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vilay Saisuka, CEO and founder of Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee here in Murfreesboro. We offer foot and ankle care from ingrown toenails to diabetic foot wounds. We also fix ankle fractures and things like that.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
And we now have joining us ESPN senior writer Chris Lowe. ESPN will be airing the latest installment in its SEC Storied series Monday at 6 o'clock on the SEC network. It is Volunteer for Life, and it's about former Tennessee basketball standout Chris Lofton and his very private fight late in his career with testicular cancer. And Chris had a pretty high degree of involvement in that whole situation. So Chris, thanks for joining us, first of all. And my first question, how much airtime are you going to get in this documentary?
Probably too much, Mo. The good thing is that they did a great job. Sean Silva and Don Lepore from Tackle Box Films there in Nashville directed and produced this film, and they did a terrific job. And we're able to get a lot of different voices and a lot of different people who were involved in Chris's journey as he battled cancer. And I think the coolest thing in the film, I've had a chance to see it, is Chris really gets to tell it, his story, the way he wants to tell it, and had a big hand in who he wanted to be in the film. But you'll see everybody from Tubby Smith to Bruce Pearl to Chris's roommate on the road at Tennessee, Jordan Howell, doctors there at Tennessee, some people in the media who covered him, several of his teammates, and other people who were in some way, shape, or form involved with Chris. And his mom and dad, Frank and Kathy, were great. And we got to go to his home there in Maysville and talk to them and sort of see where Chris grew up there. And that was, I think, of all the things in the film, that may be the coolest, to see him shooting hoops on his same goal there in his driveway that he shot when he was a kid.
That's really cool. And now, Chris, you were one of the first media members to find out about this situation. In fact, it's my understanding that you kind of had an ethical decision to make, basically. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I guess so. I did find out early. Chris had he had the treatment in between his junior and senior year. He had surgery, and he underwent really just grueling radiation treatments that would have knocked the best of us down. And he was able to come back, albeit not what he was. And Chris will tell you that. And he says in the film that he wasn't close as a senior to being what he was as a junior, having gone through everything he went through. And I know you follow sports and very close. There was a lot of chatter there early in his senior year that, hey, what's wrong with Chris Lofton? He's not shooting it the way he did. He's not playing at the same level. There were all sorts of theories. And I think those of us who cover certain teams and sports, you're constantly digging around and trying to find out, hey, is there anything up? And I did find out pretty early on in that year that he had undergone treatment for cancer and had cancer. And yeah, it was a tough decision. Anybody who's worked for a newspaper or an outlet, you never make those decisions usually in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
I went to my superiors at ESPN, explained to them what was going on, and without sort of getting into a lot of detail, we just decided to hold the story. Chris had asked me to and had given me all the reasons why, and I understood. And you know that it might get out there. And I'll say this, but I think in today's age right now, that story never would have held. I don't think it ever would have. I didn't think it would have then. I mean, I really thought then it would get out at some point. But Tennessee did a great job. I mean, from Mike Hamilton, the late Mike Hamilton, who, let me say this too, we lost Mike in 23.
Mm-hmm.
Mike came over there at Innsworth. We were interviewing some people in Nashville, and Mike's wife, Beth, drove him over in late July that year to sit down for an interview. Mike was not well. He was frail. He was a few months away from having surgery that he hoped would save his life with a liver transplant. And sadly, he died. So he came to do that interview less than 3.5 months before he died, which tells you a lot about Mike as a man. And it also tells you what he thought of Chris Lofton.
Right.
But Mike did an unbelievable job of helping Tennessee sort of navigate and Chris navigate through that. The medical staff did. Bruce Pearl. The only player on the team who knew about it, Mo, was Jordan Howell, his roommate on the road. Nobody else knew. But no, I talked it over with my people and, just decided that was the right thing to do and knew that somebody else might get the story. But Chris was a man of his word. And when the season was over, we met and did the story, and it worked out well. The main thing is Chris is healthy, continues to have checkups, and guys, it's hard to believe. That's been now, his last year was 2008. We're talking about nearly 20 years ago.
That's crazy.
And Tennessee fans are going to love this doc because you see Chris in a light that probably you haven't seen before. Chris is a very quiet, unassuming kind of guy, but he's pretty candid and pretty forthright about his battle and everything that went into getting back, bouncing back, and playing that last year.
Yeah. It's got to be tough going through everything that he was going through in his battle and everybody questioning, like you said, what's wrong with Chris? What's wrong with Chris? And not being able to say, well, I've been undergoing treatment for cancer, y'all. Get off me. I mean, it's a tough situation all the way around, and it's just an embodiment of everybody's fighting a battle that we don't know about. Be kind, and there's not a whole lot of room for that in the sports world these days, and it's really unfortunate. And I would imagine a lot of people are going to see this and are going to realize or know that he was going through a fight with cancer at the time, that probably said or did some things at the time that they really kind of are regretful of in hindsight.
Yeah, you never really know what somebody's going through, Mo, until you walk in their shoes, right? Whether it's sports or whatever. And I think those of us veterans, and you're more of a veteran than I am, which means you're older than me. Can I say that? There are not many of us anymore, Mo, in business that are older than me, but you're one of them.
Yeah, most of us are out of the business, and well, we won't go there. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of something that kind of comes with having been around. And kudos to you and to your people, because like you said, I don't know that story gets held now, and I'm a little shocked that it got held then, and maybe in the wrong hands it wouldn't have. But I mean, you did a solid for the guy that you were covering, and you handled that thing while being respectful of him and what he was dealing with, and that's not always the case.
Well, honestly, Mo, I just did what I felt was the right thing to do. I really did. In our business, we're all caught up in getting things first, and being first is just probably more pressure to do that now in this world. Everything, the immediacy of everything is within seconds, minutes. I never felt like I deserved any pats in the back. I just did what I felt like was right, and I don't know what I would have done had my company said, no, that's a big story. I mean, Chris was an All-American on a top 10 team. It was a big deal. I knew it was a big deal. And I'm grateful that they arrived at the same conclusion I did. And I'm grateful again that it worked out the way it did. Chris didn't have the season as a senior he did as a junior, but man, he still played a big role in that team. They got to number one in the country. Played in remember that massive number one versus number two matchup with Memphis that year?
Down at Memphis on a Saturday night.
Yeah. Chris made some clinching free throws in that game and a lot of big shots that year. And was really just a glimmer of what he was. I mean, he lost 20 pounds when he was trying to get back, from all the radiation treatments, and couldn't eat. Just wasn't able to work out the way he had in the past, and still yet. And you hit it, man. He never once made the first excuse, and still won't. I mean, I've always wondered. Chris is only about 6'1" or 6'2". There are not a lot of 6'1", 6'2" off guards in the NBA anymore. There weren't then either.
Right.
But I've often wondered what that bout with cancer and everything he had to go through, the way it impacted him, what type of role that played in his not playing in the NBA. Certainly he could shoot it with anybody. So who knows? I guess we'll never know. But, he never talks about that. And I think he's grateful for his time at Tennessee and a long career in Europe, a very successful career. And again, I don't want to give too much of it away. But he's just thankful that it was caught when it was caught, and he had a chance to go on and play and finish out his career and still living life to his fullest. And the way it was caught, Mo, is he failed a drug test. And think of that, Chris Lofton failed a drug test. Now, as it turns out, it was the test showed was a tumor marker, which alerted doctors there that something was wrong. But initially, the thought was, well, he's taking some type of supplement banned by the NCAA or what have you. And I asked Chris, I said, man, have you ever thought what would have happened had you not been picked? Because you know how that works, Chris. They've sent couriers, NCAA couriers go into the locker room and they say, we need to see, this person and this person. They select at random a couple of players to submit to drug tests after the games. And Chris, that game just happened to be selected.
Crazy to think about. And Chris, you kind of were rattling off some achievements there, and it kind of took me back, thinking about where I was and following those teams. And we had a kid from Giles County, Tyler Smith, that was right there in the mix for a lot of those good UT teams. How much of this documentary, this is why I love sometimes watching these, how much of this is kind of just a cool time capsule in a sense of a really special and really fun period of UT basketball?
Yeah, well, it certainly is at that time. When Pearl came in, that was Chris's second year. Pearl's first year was Chris's second year. And just sort of the resurgence of Tennessee basketball. You see a lot of that. There's a lot of great highlights and some calls from games. Chris's shot over Durant, their win over Florida there, his shot in the corner to beat Winthrop, which was their first, I guess that was Tennessee's first NCAA tournament win in maybe, I don't know, since Jerry Green was there, 2001, something like that, 2000. And so, yes, it is a nice sort of stroll down memory lane during that time in Tennessee basketball history. And Chris, in a lot of ways, was sort of the face of Tennessee's resurgence. in basketball. And I think in a lot of ways you can still feel that resurgence today as Rick Barnes has taken it and made Tennessee as consistent a program as there is in America. Certainly during all the time that Tennessee's had a program, they've never been able to sustain this type of consistency. And I think you trace that back to those first few teams under Pearl when Chris was the star.
Chris, the trailers that have been running here for the past week or so, there's a quote from Candace Parker that is just really, if you weren't motivated to watch this thing before you hear this, you probably are now, because she says, and I guess they were on campus roughly at the same time, but she says you're sad for what he didn't do, but look at what he did do.
Yeah. And Candace was great. And Candace and Chris were really good friends. They played a lot of hoops together, worked out together when they were there at Tennessee. And again, it tells you a lot about Chris. And Candace was in the middle. I can't remember if she was in the middle of her season, but we went out to Vegas to talk to her. And she was more than willing to sit down and talk about what Chris had gone through and their relationship. And but she's dead on, Mo. I mean, we think about a big part of the story is obviously that he beat cancer and he played and he did it, with such class and such grace and didn't want to be a distraction to his teammates. But man, we forget what a great player he was. Mm-hmm. He still leads the SEC in career 3-pointers. And I don't think anybody's really that close to him in 3-pointers made. When he graduated in 2008, I think he was third all time in the NCAA. A guy by the name of J.J. Redick was number 1. Now, a few people have made more than Chris since then, but he was as prolific a 3-point shooter. I'll say this. He was 6'1". I always kid Chris. They list him at 6'2". He might have been 6'1".
It's time for Top 5 Tuesday. Wade and I give you our top 5 of a particular topic. This week, it's what we like or love about spring. Wade, let's kick it off.
All right, let's go to this list here. It's going to be fun. And, we're just counting down the minutes. The second this show ends, I'm sprinting outdoors and it's going to run around. A couple of big items on my list. But first, this is always fun. It's just hiking/camping. You can kind of throw one in the same. Fall camps are great. But, man, it's tough to beat in the spring when it's not too hot. It's not too cold. But you find that nice blend, being able to get outdoors for a hike or post up at a campsite. Love it.
I think my favorite thing is baseball. I mean, I'm a huge fan. I always have been. And when spring comes, baseball is obviously right around the corner, either being at a game or watching a game on TV. For a long time coaching a game, sometimes I'll be umpiring a game. So a lot of baseball going on, and it pretty much starts up right about now. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, we're a month into the college season at this point. So buckle up, folks. But I'm with you.
But now it'll be warmer though. So
that's a good point. I'm with you. Child of baseball, parents. I grew up at the Little League Park with mom and dad working there all the time. So I kind of get the feels and the tingles for a ballpark around this
Absolutely.
time. You are exactly right. Up next, mowing the lawn is on the list for me. And I'm not a big chores guy. I don't like doing necessarily chores. But, man, something just about being on the mower. And this was kind of even before headphones. But now that you got the Bluetooth too, give me a big yard and let's just go to work, man. My parents have a fancy zero turn, which I don't get to drive very often. They don't trust me that much. But when I get on that, that's good. And then we got a nice solid push mower here in Nashville. So between the two, I kind of get my fix. It's kind of more meditative than anything. And you get a little kudos from your loved ones for doing it.
Growing up, I mowed about 6 yards and I had some headphones and could pick up radio stations and that kind of thing with it. And that was a cool, it was a cool way to make some side money when you're a youngster. So yeah, mowing yards, that kind of takes me back. It's not on my list. What is on my list, though, speaking of music, is driving with the windows down, because again, when I was younger, I wasn't blessed to have cars that had air conditioning. So it was windows down and music cranked up. And I still like to do it, and you can't in December, or not as comfortably anyway. So.
And that was literally my next pick, because there ain't nothing better than that first day when you're cruising, whether it's, in town or on the interstate. Just crank up the tunes and pop them babies down, and you just feel you're liberated. You're floating at that point, Mo.
For me, again, because of the cars that I drove at a young age, it just kind of makes me feel younger, and I can certainly use all the help I can get.
I'm with you. That is a good pull there. Up next on my list, patio season is officially back. I'm one of these guys. If the weather is nice, I don't mind being on a patio, but I hate when everybody's like, "Oh, well, let's be on the patio." They have space heaters. It's never the same. It's miserable. You don't want to be out there, and everybody is kind of huddled around getting the last little bit of heat that's available. But now we officially kick off the real patio season. Throw some sports on the TV at the restaurant that you're at. And just kick back. Patio season is right up there.
The fire pit is not the same.
No, I mean, and it feels forced. Everybody's like, "Oh, let's sit outside. It's great." And then you get 10 minutes into your meal and everybody's teeth are chattering. That ain't no fun.
Yeah, exactly. My number 3, and I actually did it Sunday. I've got to replace some gas, but grilling.
Yep.
Getting out on the grill. Throw something on the grill. Again, you can do it in December, but it's a heck of a lot less comfortable than it is right about now. So, getting on the grill. Count me in.
You can't tend to the meat or the vegetables quite the same when you got to run in and run out every 5 seconds because you're freezing.
Exactly. Yep. So that's my number 3.
I'm with you there. This is a slight spinoff of baseball, but sports in general. We are in the midst of what I would argue is October is kind of the king, the GOAT, if you will, in terms of months. But March/April is as good as it gets. You got March Madness. You got the Masters. You got Major League Baseball cranking up. And just when you kind of think all that's done, then the NHL and NBA playoffs start cranking up. Beautiful time of the year for sports in the spring.
I won't do it immediately, but here in the next month or so, probably, it's short season. And I get out of my jeans and my khakis and into something a little bit more comfortable again. So shorts, all about them. Sign me up.
That's Skies out, thighs out, right?
Something like that. Yeah. Your number 5, Mr.
Number 5. This is a favorite. This is an age-old pastime of mine in the spring. But I love talking about doing all these things outdoors and then not doing any of them and sitting and watching sports. That's one of my age-old pastimes as well. So that's got to be number 5 for me. We ain't going camping this weekend. We got March Madness to watch. You kidding me? No. We'll do that the next weekend, and then boom, it's summer. So that's an age-old pastime of mine.
This may or may not be a steal. Maybe, I hope it's not, but just I tend to travel more when it's warmer, just because I think, again, it's more comfortable. So travel season for Mo coming up real soon. That's my number 5. And that is our top 5 things that we love about spring.
Hi, I'm Riley, a certified physician associate here at Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee. We have a couple locations, Murfreesboro, McMinnville, as well as Franklin. We treat people of all ages. We're excited to get you back on your feet and hope we can help you today.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
You're seeing the signs too, right? What signs?
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Top 5 Tuesday. Wade and I bring you our top 5 on some topic, somewhat random, but somewhat chronologically based as well. And as we are just beginning March Madness with NCAA tournament action starting tonight with the first 4 in Dayton, figured it'd be a good time to give you our top 5 best / most memorable NCAA tournament upsets. Mr. Neely, the floor is yours.
Should be a fun topic, Mo, and this kind of just gets the juices going, like you said, for the rest of the week. First on my list, let's just start with the big dog, right? UMBC over Virginia, 2018. Not only did they win by 20, 74-54. Not only did they win by 20, their SID, Zach Seidel, goes viral because the account is absolutely dragging and just winning the internet with every single bucket. So not only is Virginia getting pummeled on the court, they're getting pummeled on social. Shout out to The Wire. I mean, everybody from UMBC was rocking because that place was putting on for the city of Baltimore. And what a historic win. That's got to be my number one.
That was a wild night. The first time a number 16 had beaten a number 1 on the men's side of the bracket. So congrats to UMBC. And I saw that coach's name, Ryan, and I just went blank on his last name. He bounced out of there, and I think and rightfully so, and has done pretty well.
He's at VCU. Ryan
There
Odom.
we go. Yeah. As opposed to Tobin Anderson, who led number 16 seed Fairleigh Dickinson to a 63-58 win over Purdue 2 years ago. Bounced out of there, replaced Rick Pitino at Iona, and just got fired this weekend. So, long-term, good idea. Short-term, not so much, but give me FDU over Purdue, the second number 16 over a number 1 as my number 1 biggest upset.
No doubt. And while we're letting them rip, I'm going to go with the biggest on the ladies' side. Go back to 1998. Number 16, Harvard, a member of the Ivy League, which I saw this week. The Ancient Eight, they call them now, which I love that, by the way. So 71-67, they knock off not just a dog, but a real big dog in Stanford. So props to the Crimson on getting that one done and kind of breaking the mold in the women's game, which historically has not seen as many upsets. That obviously has got to be number 1.
Yeah. The Ivy League on a come up. They got 3 teams in this year's field, although 2 of them are playing in the first 4. Columbia is playing Washington on Friday. Princeton is playing Iowa State on Thursday. That's tough. Okay, so the good news is we're going to take 3 of your teams. The bad news is 2 of them are going to play in the first 4. But yeah,
Let's see how you do.
Yeah, Ratsa Ruck. My number 2. I'm going to go close to home. This is an original. I was actually at Memorial Gym back in 1982 when Middle Tennessee State ruined a Kentucky-Louisville matchup in the second round of the NCAAs. Number 11 Blue Raiders with a 50-44 win over the number 6 seed Kentucky in that one. Huge. Lost a lot of money by going to that ball game because I had been offered all sorts of bucks. Me and the 3 guys that I went with had been offered like $300 for our tickets from folks wanting to see Louisville, Kentucky, because they rarely played. I don't know how long it had been since they had played at that time, but they hadn't played in a long time. And it's like, no, we want to see that too. So, yeah.
And got the dub. Yeah. MTSU with some historic wins. And that's the one that, kind of really got things. That's the most monumental, maybe not the most recent, obviously, but certainly the one that kind of broke the mold, it feels like.
Absolutely. Number 3.
Number 3 for me, this is zero bias put into this whatsoever. But 2014, the Mercer Bears, all they did was just peel off a 78-71 win versus Duke. The Blue Devils were flying high. They were already romanticizing how they might go up against Tennessee and knock them out the next round. But Mercer says not so fast. And they clip them by 7 points. So the 2014 Mercer Bears, who did lose by 20 in the very next game to Tennessee, but a win's a win, and the memories will live forever as they knock off the Blue Devils.
A win is a win, and the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? So go Bears. This game sticks out to me because, again, I was sitting with a guy at a sports bar, and we were eating and minding our own business back in 2013, and he had second seeded Georgetown in his bracket, winning the whole shebang. Well, Dunk City, 15 seed Florida Gulf Coast, said nay, 78-68 Florida Gulf Coast over Georgetown final. That one just still to this day resonates with me, and that's my number 3.
Epic pick, epic game, epic night, epic team. And then it led to the epic headline as 2 years later, the Washington Post, when Georgetown brings 2 Chainz back on campus, they said they invited 2 Chainz, ... who will inevitably probably be upset by a 15 seed, or 15 Chainz, excuse me. So shout out to the Washington Post for having some fun with the local team there. I love that angle too. That was an epic Dunk City run, and that one obviously is the thing that kickstarted it.
Is Andy Enfield still at USC?
I don't think so. Where did he end up to? He went to
was it SMU? He went.
He went. I knew he went back to the. Yeah, he's at SMU now.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I mean, when you get one of those, you've gotta bounce pretty much afterwards, which is basically what happened on our favorite campus a couple of years after Middle Tennessee State, as the number 15 seed in 2016, knocked off second seed at Michigan State 90-81 over in St. Louis. They came back the next year and picked off Wisconsin. It wasn't a 15-2. I think that was like a 14-3. But and then Kermit raised up and went down to Ole Miss. But when you put yourself on that national stage like that as one of these mid-majors, you kind of got to use that as an opportunity for upward mobility. Just it's almost like you got to go whether you want to or not, basically.
Yeah, we see it, and we saw it with Enfield. That was kind of the sexy hire, and had a good little run at USC. Went above 600, 220 and 147. And he went 23-10, just missing maybe the cut this season with SMU. So we'll keep tabs on old Andy down there in the Dallas area. Number 4 for me, flashback to 85. You got to have some big stones to be an 8 seed and win this whole thing, but that's exactly what Villanova did, and they did it in dramatic fashion, knocking off kind of the giants. Shout out to Georgetown yet again here, the Hoyas, kind of the punching bag for us on this show, 66-64. But not only did they do that, Mo, they knocked off my beloved Michigan Wolverines as the 1 seed to get there. They knocked off number 2 seed North Carolina. And then you get to that Final Four. Memphis State, the only team that was crashing the party from outside of the Big East, with Nova, St. John's, and Georgetown all making it. And then just to add a little extra nugget to Villanova and Rolly Massimino in that great run, they were the only game in town because during that period, Villanova had disbanded its football team, and they are still the last school to win the NCAA tournament without an active football team.
Oh, wow.
They restored it like 5 years later. They're probably like, hey, we got to cash in and make some more money. Basketball is making too much money here. We got to cash in on football. But they are the last active team to win March Madness that did not have a football team.
That's wild. That's a heck of a nugget, Mr. Neely. You always come up with them. Was that your number 4 or your number 5?
That's my number 4.
Okay. I don't know how I got ahead of you.
You were on a heater there, and you were talking about Kermit. You got excited about Kermit and said, "Let me snag these guys."
Oh yeah, my fault. I jumped line. Take your number 5.
Number 5 for me. MTSU's involved in this, but unfortunately in a roundabout way. But go back to 2007, and then the women's side, Marist. Again. Biases aside in this game, but Marist, the 13-seeded Foxes, they knock off Ohio State 67-64. One of the bigger upsets. Their conference, I think it was the MEAC. They were like 1-27 all time in NCAA tournament games prior to that victory. The only downside of that, even as impressive and as monumental as that upset was, MTSU was waiting in the next round, and you're thinking, MTSU don't have to play Ohio State. They're in great shape. Wrong. Marist wins and advances even further. But they picked off the Buckeyes, which has got to be my number 5 selection.
I had forgotten about that, but yeah, I remember that now. That was a tough run for the Lady Raiders there. Got some blowback out of that Marist Ohio State game, like you said. So yeah, we will keep it on campus. One of the biggest comebacks in NCAA tournament history. Playing again at Memorial Gym, MTSU scored the final 21 points and defeated Florida State 97-83. Beat them by 14. They were down 7 late, 83-76 with 5 minutes and some change remaining. Mike Buck from Clark Range High School, 26 points, 23 of those in the second half, 15 in a row as Middle defeated Florida State 97-83 again. That was 13th seeded Middle Tennessee State defeating number 4 seed Florida State down at Memorial Gym. Middle has had some solid performances in the NCAAs. Unfortunate we didn't get to see one of those this time around. But yeah, it's a pretty solid list. I really thought Kentucky and Oakland from last year would show up between the two of us, but didn't quite get there.
Well, I mean, if you're going to pick Kentucky, I would have to go with St. Peter's a couple years before that even, when the Peacocks were flashing around and Calipari really kind of his head was spinning. Felt a little too cheap just to Cal was maybe already on his way out, whether he wanted to be or not last year. So I gave him a little bit of a reprieve. But yeah, if I was going to pick one, I'd have to go with St. Peter's as the 14th seed a couple of seasons ago.
And that was probably the bigger upset, actually. But yeah, I know that we are a little bit of a victim of recency bias, so I had thought maybe that would work its way in for one of us. But that is our top 5 best, most memorable March Madness upsets, our top 5 songs we hate. Wade, I'll let you get this party started.
All right, perfect. And you mentioned songs we hate as a result of no bad blood toward Mr. Freeman there at running the PA for MTSU last week, because he did not play this one, and thank goodness I would have got up and left. But 1965, the McCoys, hang on Sloopy. I don't really have to explain this as a Michigan fan, but if I need to, I will. Ohio State, this is their anthem. They love it. They play it 24/7. They don't play it quite as much when Michigan beats them in football, which has happened more recently than not. So luckily, Sloopy's been on ice a little bit, but no, we got up there right be number one.
You know, what prompted this again was the state tournaments and hearing songs, and most of these songs I hear at sporting events, and I have no real control over it. But we're going to go number one. Cotton Eye Joe really just –
oh, man, that's a banger.
Really just gets under my skin. Yeah. No. It's awful. It's awful.
Man.
Yeah. Okay. You're number two, Wade?
We'll get you on the dance floor and get out the
No, we won't.
We'll get a couple fingers in you, and then you'll be ready to go. Tune me up, number two. Got to go way back. You probably didn't think that Rodgers and Hammerstein from 1945 would be on my list, but the same vein. You'll Never Walk Alone. Yeah, it's a cool song. Yeah, you want to sing it. Yeah, you get fired up. And yeah, the Liverpool faithful, when they sing it, it might even bring a tear to your eye, unless you're an Everton fan. Shout out Robbie Bourne, by the way, a massive Everton fan. 1945, You'll Never Walk Alone. A couple other teams use it too, but I could do without hearing that one for the rest of my life. And I hear it way too much.
we do need to shout out Robbie Bourne. Seriously, apparently,
biggest Everton fan.
Well, and after 28 years with the Tennessee Titans, he is no longer in their employ, and you hate to hear it.
He won't be playing You'll Never Walk Alone. I guarantee you that.
My number two, and really it's the song that prompted this, is YMCA by the Village People. I mean, it's old and it's played out. Stop it.
It's making a comeback, Mo. I don't know what you're talking about here.
It does seem to be surging back into the public forum, and I hate that. Yeah. YMCA is my number two.
Number three for me, this song was cool. And, if you caught me on a Wednesday night at Stampedes, I'd be dancing to it. But I'm done cranking the Soulja Boy. We could do without cranking the Soulja Boy. And everybody gets excited, when you hear it for the first 5 or 6 seconds and you get back into the dance. And then after that, no. I mean, it's just way too the background track is just a little too much. It's all over the place. It was fun back in 2007, but I could do without it now.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a statute of limitations with a lot of songs, and I guess Crank That would be one of those. Yeah. My number three, Achy Breaky Heart, Get It Out of Here. I mean, I enjoyed and appreciated Billy Ray's kind of surge back into the public eye with Old Town Road, but no, I can still do without Achy Breaky Heart.
Man, me and the wife just rewatched the David Lynch classic Mulholland Drive. Billy Ray with a cameo in that movie. Crazy cameo, as a matter of fact. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't hear it that much, but when I do, I'm kind of like, what are we really doing here?
Right. Exactly.
You hang around a high school softball field, you're going to hear all these songs. Trust us, folks. Up next for me, I mean, I know it's Tuesday, but when Rebecca Black's Friday comes on, your skin wants to crawl. It was, I guess, quote unquote, popular in 2011. And I think it went popular for how much you wanted to stab yourself in the eyes every time you heard it. And I find myself humming along to it every now and again. And then I slap myself and say, what are you doing? 2011, Rebecca Black, I'm off on Friday. Don't bring it back. Not now, not ever.
Hanson. Bop.
Oh, man.
Stop it.
Man, no love for the brothers.
None. No love at all for Hanson or for Bop. And I'm not sure what else they did. That's the only thing that I'm familiar with, and I'm too familiar with that. I could do without hearing that ever again. Yeah. Your number 5, Mr. Neely.
I got 2 choices here. I got one that's very niche. I'll go with the more popular. I like Will Smith, but Willow Smith's Whip My Hair. It's just too much. It's just too much for me. I I would have to be in a really good mood to really be able to suffice that one or stomach that. But if you hear that at the right or wrong time, which is almost any part of the day, if you hear that randomly at like 7 a.m. or something, it'll ruin your whole day. It's just too much, too loud, too fast. You can't do without it. So give me Willow Smith, Whip My Hair. I can't do it. I can't do it.
You don't want to whip your hair back and forth, huh?
No, not at 7 a.m. I'm not ready to headbang at 7 a.m.
My number 5, speaking of is that song, and I can't remember who does it, and it's just as well that I can't, because I would call them out if I could. But that's my number 5.